Hello and welcome to Global Lens. With me, Parikshit Luthra. Our focus today is on the future of Gaza, which has witnessed heavy fighting between Israel and Hamas over the last 2 years. On October 13, US President Donald Trump and leaders of Egypt, Qatar and Turkey signed a declaration for enduring peace and prosperity in Gaza for both Palestinians and Israelis. The declaration noted that the lasting peace will be one in which fundamental human rights of both Palestinians and Israelis are protected. The leaders committed to resolving future disputes through diplomatic engagement and negotiation, rather than through force or protracted conflict. Reactions are pouring in from across the world. President of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, said that Trump's proposal was the last chance for peace in the region. He also reiterated his call for a two-state solution, saying that Palestinians have the right to an independent state. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer expressed relief at the release of hostages and said that President Trump's plan must be implemented immediately. At Trump's Gaza Peace Summit in Sharm-el-Sheikh, India was represented by Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs, Kirti Vardhan Singh. Indian government has supported the Gaza peace plan and has said the resolution is in line with India's long-standing support for a negotiated two-state solution. PM Modi welcomed the release of Israeli hostages and said that India supports President Trump's sincere efforts to bring peace to the region. Going ahead, there will be three key questions. Will this Sharm-el-Sheikh declaration lead to enduring peace in the near future? Is a two-state solution now possible? And thirdly, what will be the cost of rebuilding Gaza for the people of Palestine? Joining us right now to discuss all of this is Talmiz Ahmad, former Indian ambassador to Saudi Arabia, Oman and UAE. Ambassador Ahmad, thank you very much for joining us on Global Lens. Let me begin by asking you, will this Sharm-el-Sheikh declaration lead to peace in Gaza in the near future? And by near future, I mean at least the next few weeks and months.
Over the next few weeks and months, I don't believe that there will be an initiative from Israel to commence violent hostility. I think they will take their time. They are committed only insofar as the release of hostages is concerned, and they have released certain prisoners. Indeed, 1,700 of them had been captured indiscriminately by them all across Gaza. The others are long-term prisoners who have lived in extremely difficult circumstances in Israeli prisons. It is very difficult now to predict which way things will go. We do not know what are the intentions of Netanyahu. I think he will take into account the political scenario at home. He is basically a very astute politician, an extraordinary survivor, and has extraordinary capacity to look out for his own interest. Therefore, what happens in the next few months will be determined by his assessment of where his interests lie. If his interests demand that there should be a renewal of conflict, he will not hesitate even for a moment to begin hostilities and to ensure that there is sufficient provocation, both in Gaza and the West Bank, to ensure that there would be a response from the Palestinian side, and it will give him the excuse to then initiate massive violence upon the Palestinian people. He has shown no interest whatsoever in any long-term solution to the situation in the region.
Right. In terms of the Hamas ability to regroup and carry out attacks, is that even a possibility anymore, or do you feel that the capacity of Hamas to launch attacks against Israel, that has been eliminated now?
I think this issue is wide open. We do not know the extent of damage that has been done upon Hamas. We only hear loose figures mentioned by the Israeli side. Long ago, more than a year ago, they had said they have killed 30,000 people and that they will eliminate the balance 15 or 20,000 in a few weeks. None of that is being mentioned now. Very loosely, Israelis now say they have killed 20,000, but they also add that Hamas has added another 15,000 to its cadre. This is a freedom movement. This is a resistance movement. There is no way you can ever predict predict the annihilation of such a movement. They have taken a serious beating, but I am confident that they will recover fairly quickly because the issues that gave birth to them have not been addressed at all. Israel is actually ensuring that resistance persists because of the gross mistreatment of Palestinians in Gaza and in the West Bank and steady encroachments upon territories that are part of the occupied territories. I would say to you, the idea of resistance will persist. It will manifest itself from time to time in different ways. They have never given up. This is not the this is only the latest version of Israeli atrocities upon Hamas and upon the Palestinian resistance movement. There will be other occasions when they will rise once again. And unless the Israelis decide that enough is enough, that we have a situation right in front of us which needs to be addressed, that we must take into account we have to take into account the legitimate aspirations of the Palestinian people. Unless that kind of mindset change takes place, we will continue to have conflict from time to time.
Right. The issue of two-state solution, do you think that is something, if achieved, will lead to peace in the region? India has spoken about this. They made a mention of the two-state solution in their statement about Kirti Vardhan Singh, the Minister of State, visiting Sharm-el-Sheikh. The Egyptian leaders have spoken about this. Is the United States interested in ensuring this at all?
Honestly speaking, the only solution that you have in the short to medium term is the two-state solution. Indeed, it is a solution staring at you in the face. If you count the number of non-Jewish people in the occupied territories and including East Jerusalem, West Bank, and Gaza and East Jerusalem, as well as the non-Jewish people who are Israeli citizens, my own estimate is that they possibly are greater in number as compared to the Jewish population. So you have two populations right in front of you who have separate aspirations. Now, you cannot continue to pretend that a number of people whose figures are equal to your own do not have a right to exist and do not have a right to their own dignity and their own aspirations. Therefore, a two-state solution is in fact the only way forward. Now, why is this being resisted? Because some Israelis have a messianic view suggesting that this is sacred land and it is promised by God only to the Jewish people. Many other Jews who do not have these kind of messianic views have been repeatedly told that the Palestinians are inherently violent and that if you have a state side by side with Israel, you will be always insecure. I do not agree with that. I believe that if you continue to deny to the Palestinian people their aspiration to their own state, just as the Jews found salvation in Israel, coming to Israel from different parts of the world and seeking an assertion of their unique identity and an affirmation of their dignity in the state of Israel, exactly the same aspirations are now animating the Palestinian people. Therefore, I believe the only way forward is the two-state solution. I'm not sure that Netanyahu or any other significant leader has indicated publicly his support for it. There isn't that. It is not there.
Right.
It is something that will have to evolve over a period of time. This will require a major change in the thinking and the approach of the Israeli people. I'm not sure that the extreme right wing in Israel, or even for that matter, Prime Minister Netanyahu, are capable of delivering on this. You will need a new political order in Israel in order to take it forward.
Absolutely. And when it comes to putting a political structure in place now, because that also will be the next question, what about the Board of Peace? Who controls Gaza? Do you think if we want peace in the region, at least in the near term, Netanyahu would want a political structure there and a political leadership which is aligned with the Israeli interests and possibly is a leader or a set of leaders of Israel's choosing?
Any genuine solution needs a high degree of goodwill on both sides and a high degree of mutual trust on both sides. This is singularly lacking. The Israeli approach is domination and violence. They believe that with the instrument of genocide, with the instrument of enslavement, and hopefully from their perspective exile, they can wish away the presence of 7 million Palestinians. It is not going to happen. In the present document that was finalized yesterday, there is no mention of a two-state solution. It is mentioned in the Arab statement, Arab and Islamic statement at the beginning of this month, when they said that there has to be a comprehensive peace process that will result in the two-state solution. So we have some way to go in that regard. We have not even taken the first few steps. Now, with regard to the interim arrangements, it is very difficult to believe that any of them has any basis in reality. You can't run a beleaguered people, 68,000 of whom have been killed, and possibly many more once the rubble is cleared, and whose lives have been totally devastated, living under a so-called technocratic government supervised by a board of directors like a corporation. This is the signature of Donald Trump. I don't think he has much knowledge of this region. I'm deeply skeptical about his staying power and his capacity to focus. I'm not sure any of these arrangements will go anywhere. Right. The Palestinians, after so many decades of struggle, don't need a technocratic government. They need their political aspirations to be fulfilled. Very often, people like Kushner and Blair in the past have focused on the economic side. Oh, give these guys money and you can silence them. That has not happened in the past and it's not going to happen in the future. There has to be a focus on the political solution that we need to pursue, and all the rest will follow in time.
Right. We need a political solution.
Concerned, we first created the state of Israel, and after that, everything else was to follow. I would recommend the same approach here as well.
Right. Ambassador Ahmad, now the role of India. Clearly, the Middle East scenario is changing very fast. We saw how Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif heaped praise after praise on Donald Trump, even nominated him for a Nobel Prize for a second time. How important is it for India to be at the forefront of this fast-changing security architecture in the Middle East? If there is a board of peace, do you think Indian leaders can be involved in some way or the other?
We should not take our cue from Pakistan. Pakistan has its own unique dynamics. I have referred to Pakistan as a schizophrenic state. It is a state where the interests of the armed forces have priority over the interests of the people of Pakistan. You are fully aware of the great resistance within Pakistan to the attitude of their government, civilian as well as military, with regard to the peace process. I believe that India has an important role to play in West Asia. It has got extraordinary credibility with all the principal players in the region. But India has opted to stay on the sidelines. India has taken no interest whatsoever in actually following the events in Gaza and in West Asia seriously, nor have we indicated any capacity to play any role in the region, whether it be diplomatic, political, or economic. We have confined our role to a bilateral relationship. And even when the scenario has changed so significantly, we continue to pursue a bilateral approach. At this stage, given the total disinterest that India has indicated for so long with regard to West Asia in general and the recent developments specifically, I'm not sure that we have either the capacity or the interest to be constructively involved with the region. Some of our people are talking about some economic contracts. This is an embarrassment. India has a very long record of supporting the Palestinian cause. We are held in very high esteem by the Palestinian people and indeed by the Arab people at large. There has been a very great expectation with regard to India fulfilling what its destiny commands. But we have no interest whatsoever in doing all this, and we have to now accept this as a given. There will be other role players who will now come in and play their role. It's not Pakistan. I am not interested in Pakistan, nor do I want any Indian decision making in regard to West Asia to be determined by Pakistan. We have a very different stature in the region. We have a very different history in the region. We have an extraordinary relationship with the region. The fact that we have opted not to be constructively involved with the region is a separate matter. I wish it would be reviewed, but I see no sign of that.
All right. On that note, we come to the end of this interview. Thank you very much, Ambassador Ahmad, for joining us and giving us a perspective on what's happening in the Middle East right now and the big takeaways from the Sharm-el-Sheikh summit in Egypt, where the Trump declaration on the Gaza peace plan was signed upon. Let's see what happens in the days to come. We appreciate the fact that you took out time for us. We're taking a short break.